We have done this film to help you understand what Scientology is and assist you to get around to avail yourself of it and answer your questions. He was a leading light in popular fiction and is today the most published and translated author of all time, and led expeditions as a member of the famed Explorers Club and recorded thousands of lectures, now translated in more than 50 languages, with over 200 million copies in circulation. Scientology is taken from the Latin scio, which means knowing, and the Greek word logos, meaning study of. As the founder of the Scientology religion and sole author of its scripture, you will hear Ron referred to as source.
Take any effort, and when you get up from
All
your
churches
chair
of Scientology have an office for Ron.
It's
It
going
is
to
a
be
symbol of
reflexive, and
the
it's not
church
gonna,
and its staff
it's not
are
going to
on
take any
source.
thought.
That is,
Like, I
true
have
to
to
his
move this
values and
muscle
ideals.
to do this. But I've had to go through all of that because I had to really walk, talk, breathe on my own, swallow food on my own, and speak all of those languages and English, and play the piano all over again, and so I've had to think and observe this entire world, and not having everything re-explained to me from ground zero, from being dead essentially. And I was given the last rites, which is a Catholic sacrament reserved for people that are going to die in 3 hours. It's the last sacrament that you can get in the Roman Catholic Church, and it was given to me because I was going to die, because there was a hole in my lung that had collapsed this left lung, and I was lying in a bed, unable to breathe, and the doctor said, he's probably going to die. And so my family was at the hospital, in, where was it, Lutheran General Hospital, which is in, Des Plaines, I think, Des Plaines, I'm just joking around, but I lay in there comatose, and then everybody thought I was going to die, and so they brought in a priest, and he gave me the last rites, to save my soul, so that I wouldn't go to hell, which is very likely where I would have gone according to the Roman Catholics, and their beliefs, because of the lifestyle that I lived prior to my suicide attempt was one of a roguish, troubled teen, as as I was labeled as a teenager. I was a kid that liked drugs, sex, and alcohol, and if if you weren't supposed to do it, I did it. And my theory always was, well, you know what? I'm gonna see for myself why all of these things are off limits, why they're so bad. I'm gonna try it, and I'm gonna see. I will experience it for myself. And so I did. I went out and I did those things, and I first made love to a woman when I was a 13-year-old boy in 7th grade. I first had my first sip of alcohol in 7th grade. I smoked my first tobacco cigarette in 7th grade. Smoked my first marijuana cigarette in 7th grade. And I was raring to go. I was just going to experience it all. And I thought it was nonsense that you had to be a certain age before you could experience any of these things. I always regretted that as just utter bullshit, because I'll tell you what, I know I wasn't allowed to see a woman's breasts, for example, when I was a child. That was a no-no. And nudity was something that I wasn't allowed to, or I wasn't encouraged to or permitted to experience, because I was a little kid. But then I found a videotape in the woods by my house. Somebody had thrown it out of their car, and the tape was black tape, and it was covered in dirt, and it was in the woods under some leaves right by Lake Cook Road. and it was called Backdoor Lust. And I didn't know what those words meant when I found it. And I brought it home, and I put it in, and there were these people running around in a field, and then a guy and a girl laid down on a grassy knoll or something, and she went into his pants and took out his penis and began sucking upon it, at which point I began to get an erection, and I had never gotten an erection. I was 8 years old, and I didn't know what the hell was going on, and I thought it was very strange, but like, I really liked looking at this naked woman and seeing her perform fellatio, and and I was fascinated by this Backdoor Lust videotape that somebody had thrown out of their car. And then I went to the barn and I fed the horses with my sister Shanley. She's the younger of my two older sisters. And I asked her, whilst we fed Chesapeake, Liberty, and Chuckles, the pony, I asked her what it meant when my penis got hard, and she told me that it was called a boner, and she was giggling and was the victim of sexual abuse again and again and again all over the course of my my childhood, growing up from the age of 8 until I was 26, I think was the last time. And there were there are 9 events, all completely separate, completely unrelated incidents, different people, different places all over the country, where I ended up being sexually abused by a man or a woman. And they range from, as insignificant as just being being forced to perform cunnilingus on my 14-year-old babysitter when I was 8, because she put me in that position. She asked me to lick her vulva, and I did because I felt bad for her, and I felt like there was something really wrong with it, and like something really wrong was happening to her at her home, and I felt bad for her, and so I never told anybody until the neighbors came over and they caught her in the act of making me go down on her, and they told my parents, and my parents took me to a psychologist, and he talked to me in talking about it, and so I did, but no legal action or anything was ever done. And then when my neighbor shot himself in the head, I saw that same German girl at funeral for this man, and she was a grown woman now, and I hadn't seen her in years and years. And I went up to her, and I've thought about those things that Sandy used to make me do, because she was my babysitter. And 14-year-old girls don't organically come up with the idea to have a little boy lick their vulvas. That's not something that organically comes to a 14-year-old girl. So obviously her father or some other male had been doing that to her, and so she discovered that she liked it, and so she would get me in situations where she was babysitting me at her house or my parents' house, and she would ask me to do that act again, and I knew it was wrong, but seeing her at this neighbor who shot himself in the face with a shotgun at his funeral in Barrington, and I went up to her and I hugged Sandy and I whispered in her ear, "I forgive you." And then I let it go. Like, I let it go.
That's good, man. That's good. You've been through quite a lot. Definitely. You said you got Dianetics?
Yeah, I started to learn about Scientology and